Welcome to another episode of Spill in the Ville. We got your host, Terence Jennings, and we got our co-host slash producer, Blake McCauley. We have a very, very big guest today. Actually, that would be an understatement, to say the
Man.
least.
Two-time Big East tournament champion and MVP, national champion,
Mhm.
multiple champions all around the world. Peyton Siva, we cannot thank him enough. When I tell people I work at Shoot 360, and if they didn't know that Peyton was the owner, one thing that they always ask is he as great as a person as he seems? And I mean, you can attest to this a lot more than I can. You're his former teammate, but you know, I think this interview can kind of speak for itself. He sat at the height of the transfer portal for talked to us for about 35 minutes in the middle of the parking lot of the basketball training facility. So, I mean, he's all around great person, and we
Yeah,
cannot thank him enough.
yeah, for sure. Right now, I'm sitting in his facility right now, Shoot 360 Louisville. That's so much I can say about Peyton. Entrepreneur. He's a husband. He's a father. He's a champion. McDonald's All American. He's a coach. He's everything. All those things in one. And just all around amazing guy. And we appreciate him coming on, taking his time out of his busy schedule to come sit down on Spill in the Ville with us. And thank you very much.
Yeah, for sure. We're blessed to have him on, especially for him to kick us off and be the first person to do it. So he didn't have
For
to do
sure.
that for us at all. But
Yeah.
thank you to all our partners at Cardinal Sports Zone, JB Creative, and Best Way. If anybody else would like to contribute, DM us at Spill in the Ville on all our socials. And you can also email us at spillintheville23@gmail.com. But let's go ahead and jump into the interview with the man himself.
Let's get to it. Let's go.
Get it to Siva. It's going to be Louisville in front. Oh!
We got a special, very, very special guest in the building today. My brother, my teammate, Peyton Siva. Thank you so much for joining us today, man. Thank you so much for being here. Just, I really want to get into your transition from player to coach right now. And what do you know? What do you notice as far as the players of today versus the players back when we played, back when we came on the campus? We're young guys, vibrant. What do you see now versus back when we came up?
Man, I appreciate you guys having me on, T. We go back, whew,
Yeah,
long time.
yeah, for
Blake,
sure.
also Blake, when you used to go to the camps, man, remember you. But
Oh yeah.
just getting into, the whole this age era player and when we played, man, I would say not a lot's changed. I mean, only thing that really changed is these guys are getting money now.
Right.
But a lot. I would say a lot more skilled in a sense. Everyone has personal trainers nowadays. Everyone has resources to have those type of trainers and things of that nature. Um, I would say just from this year to not this year, but when we played, we had a lot more open gyms. I would say, and you remember our summers, we used to play every day open gym. But with the changing of the rules, you're allowed to do more, individual instructions throughout the summer. So we focused a lot more on that this past summer. But I mean, guys, kids are kids, man. You try to help them grow as much as you can, especially being on this side of the sidelines. But it's
Yeah,
all good, man.
yeah. Most definitely. Like you said, we came up, we came at it up at a different time where we weren't receiving any of these big deals that these guys are coming up with at this time. How do you? I want to know kind of how do you feel about that? Just you coming up as a kid, not saying you were struggling, but just
Yeah, I mean, I would say for the most part, we all go through our different struggles. as far as basketball goes and life out off the court. And with the whole NIL thing, it actually helps a lot of kids out to be able to provide for their families at a much younger age. But also too, it's on the coaches to kind of help them out to navigate that space, right? It's on us to kind of keep their focus on the court and you know make it as easy as possible. With the outside distractions, try to limit the outside distractions as much as we can. I mean, because there's a lot. We came up during the age of social media just started popping off. Twitter and everything started really coming into focus, where a lot of these kids, it's not really even about the money. That they struggle with a lot of people just crushing them on social media, crushing them. And they're much more reachable through social media. Somebody can just hit somebody up in their DMs, and as athletes, you might say it doesn't matter, but you read the comments, you read the negative comments, and it kind of sticks with you. So, for us as coaches, man, is just try to give them that free game of just, hey, man, try to stay away from it as much as possible. Just focus on what's the task at hand, and create that environment where they can really thrive in. Is kind of what we're tasked to do as coaches.
Yeah, so kind of talking about just your first whole year on the coaching staff in general, how was that whole experience like?
Oh, it was a whole new deal, being on the sidelines and being a support staff for this university. It was an amazing feeling, one, to be on the sidelines at the University of Louisville, but also too it was just a lot of growing and a lot of learning as the season went on. I was much better in my role. I was much better in my role at the end of the year than at the beginning. Right, basketball is a sport that you can continue to learn more and more every day. Something new happens every day, and it was fun, man. It was fun for me to watch these guys grow, and it was fun for me to just learn more the nuances of the game. Than being a player, you're tasked with, you go out there and perform, right? You have a lot of control of what you do out there. As far as on the sideline, not a lot, right? I can't go out there and shoot a basketball or try to get a defensive stop, take a charge. All you can do is direct people, try to help them out as much as you can. But it was fun, man. I had a great first year experience and learned a lot.
Yeah, you talked about going out there not being able to take a charge or anything. One of the first things you did when the season kicked off, you sent out a tweet about Chucky saying, if you thought I was a good guard or a good defensive guard, wait until you see Chucky. This guy is on a different level. What was it during that time? I mean, this was back in October. What was it during that time that really stuck out to you, either on film or through practice, that really separated Chucky from the others?
I really got a chance to watch Chucky in practice and really see him in person. Right, you can watch him on film and see that he was a piranha on defense, but when he's actually in practice causing havoc and just his instincts on the defensive side was next level, right? And the way that he read the game, not only offensively but defensively, it was just great to see. And I really felt like he was one of the better defenders that I've seen throughout my career. Just big, strong guard, lightning quick feet, really quick hands. What really helps him out a lot, and just his instincts on the court. I mean, he's an older player. He's been around. This is fourth year, senior. Started every game for Wisconsin when he was there, and to have a player like that lead our team on the as a point guard was truly special. And I just spoke my mind. I really felt like he was, and he really showed out this year that he was that type of defensive pest by winning ACC Defensive Player of the Year. And I'm glad that he made me sound really smart.
You did,
Yeah,
man.
hey,
That was
not to old
good.
man you at all or anything, but I know Chucky said you were his favorite player growing up. I know these kids are around my age, so they grew up watching you. What was kind of that relationship like?
Man, it was funny just because when he was saying that, I didn't feel like I was that old. I was like, man, if I was still, um, but it was good, man, just because I had a chance to really connect with him on things other than basketball, life outside of basketball, and we were able to create a really good bond. I felt like having that reputation of guys watching me play, kind of gave me a little bit of credibility to really speak to them and connect with them, and they listen because I've been in their shoes. I've been to where they want to go and experience what they experience. So that really helped me out to really connect with them. And to build that bond with Chucky was, really special. And to build the bond with the rest of the guys too was really special. But it was awesome to see the success that he's had because he's an amazing kid, just personality wise. And I was happy that everything that came his way this year was well deserved.
For sure. So I really kind of want to talk about your brand, your 360 brand. Just I kind of want to elaborate just on kind of what it's done for me, and I've got to see the environment that you've created there at Shoot 360 Louisville, and just the culture that you've created around there. Everybody's amazing. That you all the members, just everything that you've put into that. What's your plans like as far as moving forward with the 360 with the Shoot 360 Louisville? Is that something that you pursued, or just something that just how did that kind of explain kind of how that came about?
Yeah, so I would say, 360 really came about the once I left Europe and Australia and I was done playing, I kind of wanted to find something else that I can do. And I saw the concept a long time ago and really thought it would be a great idea to have here in Louisville, something for the community and a way for kids to go get better. Um, a place where kids can enjoy the game of basketball, learn from, great people like yourself, Blake's there, and really just fall in love with the game, right? No matter what skill level you're at, just have a safe place that you can go in there and not be judged and really get better. And also too, it was a great opportunity for me and my wife, who really runs the business now that I'm, coaching and everything. But having a great person run the gym like my wife, like Dean, who's there every day, general manager, and the rest of you guys. You guys do a great job of just connecting with the people, building that culture, and just making it a great place in Louisville. And just looking forward. My wife and I talked about it. We want to continue to expand it. She's kind of taking lead on all of that since I am coaching, but just continue to work on it, continue to build the brand, continue to help kids get better. And, it's also a great place to give opportunity for guys to come back in, um, who want to get back in the community, who want to give back to the kids and help train who love the game of basketball in that sense, sort of like yourself and, our Deja, Maxie, all of those guys, just a chance to really, give back to the community and do something that they love. And it's a blessing for me to be able to provide that, but it's a blessing to have you guys a part of that team.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you, man, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. One thing I definitely love, like, of course, we've got all that shooting technology and everything. 28 teams use that in the NBA. But one thing that I personally have loved the most, and what I liked about your camps growing up, is you always had people that have been there and done that. Like, you and Russ were always walking around. You all were like getting involved in activities. You were talking to the kids. You've got a lot of people that are there to build your confidence up. You've got people that have played all around the world that really are there to see you succeed. So, props to you and everything that you guys have been able to create.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate you guys.
Just wanted to take a second and give a big shout out, big shout out to Best Way, home of the low price guaranteed, or it's free, where you can get all of your home furnishing needs on a deal. They have everything from smart refrigerators, washer, dryer sets, 86-inch TVs, PS5s, Xboxes, all the way to reclining living room suites and bedroom suites. Best Way offers so many ways to pay, from retail, rent to own, and even financing through Lendmark, with 2 locations in Indiana, one in New Albany, and one in Jeffersonville. 5 locations in Kentucky: Radcliffe, Dixie Highway, Hikes Lane, Shelbyville, and Shepherdsville. Stop by today and tell them that we sent you to get $100 off your new item. Now let's get back to the show.
So, just kind of diving back a little bit, going back into your Louisville career, what do you remember the most from when you got onto campus? I mean, you moved all the way from Seattle, basically across the whole United States. What do you remember just that whole transformation from Seattle to Louisville?
I mean, as TJ can probably attest to it, man, it's much different from the West Coast over here.
For
I
sure.
would say it's a
Yeah.
long way from home, and
Hmm.
but the people here they treat you like their own, right?
Yeah, for
They
sure.
you know, love you, they treat you right, and that's why I, moved back here after I was done playing. But I really didn't have a lot of knowledge per se of what it was going to be like when I got down here. I mean, just from the few visits I had, but man, the fan base, the everybody just embraced me like family, and I loved it, and I loved the culture down here, and it was nice, man. I really enjoyed not only my time playing basketball, but just being out in the community, being around friends and family off the court, and the love people showed.
You remember the first time you met TJ?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I met TJ. Yeah, we got together when I first came down here. We started doing open gyms and things, and I mean, I told this story earlier, but TJ can attest to this too. But man, I would never forget our first individuals. These guys were killing individuals. They were used to it, man. Me, Mike Marr, and Rakeem Buckles got in our first individuals, did it, and were laid out on the floor in the locker room, man. I
Yeah.
never experienced something so tiring in my life. I thought,
Yeah.
I was like, man, I'm in good shape. And nah,
Yeah.
didn't realize what college basketball was like. But these guys all laughed and made fun of us. But it was good, man. They were,
Yeah.
they were good dudes, and we had good times.
For sure. Yeah, those individuals were crazy, man. We used to really get after it too, you know.
Yeah,
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 so
yeah.
that's
Great
that's
times.
one thing that like the legendary stories are about Pitino, the morning workouts, the afternoon. What was that plan like for you, Peyton, when you would go into those developmental sessions?
It was all new to me. I mean, I never had a personal trainer growing up when I was younger. I mean, my training came from going to open gyms and hooping, or staying late after practice with my head coach and getting shots up with, a couple of the older guys back then. So I never really had that one-on-one individual training or anything like that. So going into it, I didn't really know what to expect, and man, it was tough, just because I didn't know the amount of running you were going to do, the game
Yeah.
repetitions, all that. Um, it was tough, man. Playing one on one full court, playing one on one, two dribbles, three twos and ones, sprint aways, all that stuff it was tough. But I would say after the first couple sessions, they became a lot easier, and you become accustomed to the conditioning. You become accustomed to the how hard you have to go. So it was good, man. I really enjoyed them. They were tough, but they helped a lot.
Man, I want to just double back. I remember you speaking of those open gym sessions. I don't put nobody out there, but we were playing, I think, 5-on-5 one time, and I don't know if this was probably your first summer there. I don't know, but I don't know if J.R. Smith was there. Okay, so listen, I knew Peyton could jump, but I seen him. I knew he can jump, but I didn't know he can jump like this. Man, Peyton caught Jr. on a fast break, put him in the cup, and I couldn't believe because he was so small. I couldn't believe he can get up this, like this. I seen him jump. I seen him. He had hang time, but I never seen him just explode. Then I'm looking at him. I'm like, this kid, he can palm the ball. I and I want to say I really did love playing with Peyton because he was very athletic. He knew how to. He always, to me, he made the right decisions, especially when it came to passing me the ball. Definitely, but he would always find me. He would always find me in the correct spot every time in that dunker. He'll penetrate, and he was so athletic he can hang in the air and finish over anybody. Sometimes I used to just like watching them play, man, because it was really effortless, and just his control of the pace of the game. It was, hey man, I ain't gonna lie, it was really fun playing with you, man, for real. Yeah,
Nah, nah, I
it
appreciate
was
it. No,
really
I
fun.
remember the open gym too. It was
Yeah,
Russ tells the story the best because Russ is a great storyteller. But I mean, it was like an
yeah,
early morning open gym.
yeah,
Guys are tired. Guys are playing.
yeah.
Chris Smith, my guy, shout out to him. Jr. Just came up there to hoop with us, and
Right.
it was a fast break. It means basketball play. He tried to block it,
Yeah,
caught him a little bit, but I will say
a
this:
little bit.
it was quiet in the morning, but after I did
Yeah,
that, JR really showed that he was on a different level. I think he made
He
about
did.
8 straight threes after that.
He got bad. He
Didn't
got
miss a
bad.
shot. Shot started shooting from half court. I mean, he really showed like why he was
Yeah,
NBA, why we were still in
for sure.
college.
For sure. He
But he was, man.
proceeded to go
I never
crazy.
forget that summer, man. J.R. Smith was
Yeah.
is one of the realest
That
dudes that I love those old open gyms. J.R. Smith used to come
yeah.
play. Rondo, Antoine
Rondo.
Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. E5, DC
E5.
came
Yep.
back and they would play.
Yep.
Those are great open gyms. Nazir, Muhammad. I mean, I learned so much from those open gyms and from those guys, man. It was just a blessing. So,
For sure.
I do remember that story. But
That was it.
yeah,
Yeah. For sure. That's what I want to get into. That's it. I'm good.
Yeah, yeah. TJ just kind of said what it was like playing from his standpoint. What was it like playing from your standpoint, playing with TJ, Peyton?
oh, it was great, man. I mean, playing with Terrence, like one of the most athletic bigs I've ever played with. You can throw it anywhere around the rim and he'll go get it. Um, and TJ was deceptively strong. He has these little tiny legs, but he get off the ground quick, man. And he's always been that type of guy that just is going to exude energy and play with effort. And um, was one of those guys that I can trust. That is going to get everybody hyped. Great person to talk on defense and all that. He was one of the better bigs I got a chance to play with, and really enjoyed it, man. He's just a all around good teammate, somebody that you can trust on to be there in those spots where you might get hung up, like you said, jump in the air, which you're not supposed to do, and you can find him late or just quick lob to the rim. Man, he was so quick off the ground. It was fun, man, fun to play with, and I'm glad I experienced those years, man. We had a really great my sophomore year. I would say his junior year, we had a really great run. Unfortunately, Preston broke his foot against Moorhead in the tournament.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were just really banged up going out there to Denver, and I felt
Mm-hmm.
like we shocked a lot of people that year because there wasn't really a lot of high expectations. But
Mm-hmm.
we had a really good team. It's kind of funny that you think about we didn't really have high expectations, but we were like a 6 or 7 seed going into the tournament. So it's
Right.
just pretty funny to think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's yeah.
just
For
kind of
sure.
looking at these pictures, kind of going through with these, and you and TJ. There's no telling what was said, and you get a little smirk right there. There's no telling what Coach P just lit into somebody about. But
Mm-hmm.
and kind of going back on these jerseys, you always wore. You guys had the infrared jerseys. You guys had all these. What was up with these like tank top looking jerseys with the? I mean, what? Why
They
were those
were.
there? And thank the Lord we never brought them back.
It was funny because I do actually remember those jerseys. They were kind of supposed to be like, when you're working out, those little dry fit Under Armour, tank tops you wear underneath your jersey. And kind of what Adidas did was they wanted to try to make it into a jersey that you can go out there and play. They actually weren't bad as far as like comfort wise, but they
Hmm.
also gave us the options that if some of us wanted to wear it, we could. If some didn't, we didn't have to. But I think he was yelling at Chris Smith right here, and I was just laughing at how small our jerseys were because some wore it, as you saw, I did and Chris, and then some didn't, as you see in PK and TJ, because they weren't as buff as me and Chris at the time, so they chose not to, wear it. So that was their thing.
Oh man, yeah, those things were tight, man. They were tighty whities.
Oh no, he had to cut them off after the game because you start sweating, they get tighter and tighter. But yeah,
Yeah,
no, it was a
yeah.
funny. We never brought him back out after that game.
Never seen those jerseys ever again.
Good,
No,
good.
I don't even
Didn't
know
need to
what
see them
happened
again.
to him.
They just put them in storage, just burn them.
JB Creative, your trusted website designer and content creator, making your brand stand out from the rest. From web design and SEO to brand development for your business, JBC's got you covered. Let's go create.
This week in Cardinal history, 12 years ago to the date, the number 1 overall seed Louisville Cardinals bring home their 3rd national championship in school history, beating Trey Burke and the Michigan Wolverines 82-76. Spike Albrecht would come off the bench. He played a sparing role the entire year, hadn't scored more than 7 points in a game. Came off the bench, hit 17 points, helped get the Wolverines out to a 12-point first half, but we'd have our man off the bench himself, Luke Hancock, would come in, score 22 points, hit 4 straight threes in the first half. Peyton would have that lob to Montrez to cap off an incredible first half run. Sitting on the bench just a couple weeks after an unfathomable injury, Kevin Ware is able to see his brothers bring home a national championship in his hometown of Atlanta. So, Peyton, one thing I read a lot of growing up just because we'd have to do like reading time at school and things like that. So, I'd always read like Coach P's books, one day contract, rebound rules, things like that. And he talked a lot about he just finished his last book, One Day Contract, right as you guys won the national championship. And one thing that he said a lot throughout that book is that you guys lean on humility a lot. He would write it all over the board in the locker room. And it got to the point where late in the season, he didn't even need to do it anymore. But you guys still, like, you guys understood that lesson, but he was still doing it anyway. What do you think that the key of humility did throughout that run? And how much has that lesson of humility sticked with you since that championship?
And it's just about being, having humility, being humble, not being arrogant in a sense. You remember my junior year, we went to the Final Four. So making the Final Four is a big deal, and you can walk around the city with your chest poked out and things of that nature. But we lost. We lost to UK that year, and that next year we had a good returning group of guys coming in. Um, Pretty much everybody coming back, and we had Luke able to play, and Montrez was a freshman at that time. He was going to play, but we had everybody else back for the most part. So we felt confident going into it, and so what Coach P understood was if we continue to be big headed, thinking we're the best in the world, then we'll get humbled real quick. So his whole message throughout the year was just having humility, man. Just understanding that you're gonna have a target on your back, understanding that you have to play every game like it's your last. And we hit some adversity throughout that year. We went to the Bahamas early in the year. Gorgie ended up getting hurt the game before against Missouri, going in to play Duke in the championship game with no Gorgie. Um, we asked a young Zach Price to step up in his place, played really well for us, but ended up losing in the Bahamas. Went on a good streak, became ranked number one in the country, and then we lost three in a row. We lost to Syracuse on the last minute steal where I turned it over. We lost to Villanova at Villanova, and then we lost to Georgetown at Georgetown. So it was one of those things that you have to have humility. You have to be humble, and those were really good lessons for us, and really good games for us to really build off of. Right, going into 5 overtimes against Notre Dame at Notre Dame, losing that game really helped us. Looking going forward past that, being down 17 to Syracuse in the second half, being down 12 to Wichita State in the Final Four, being down 13 to Michigan in the championship, it really kind of helped us understand, like, all right, we're battle tested. We've been through these games before. All right, we know that we can pull it out and not, duck our heads and run for cover.
Talking about that Wichita State game, Coach P said the last time that Tim Henderson checked in, he tripped over a towel going to the scores bench. And it's like, uh-oh, here we go. When you see Tim going crazy, hitting those shots, like what's going through y'all's mind?
Man, it just speaks to, Coach Pitino's coaching style. He really trusted all of us, whether you were the starting point guard or where you were the walk on, right? It didn't matter. Everybody was going to do the same workouts. Everybody's going to get treated the same. And, he trusted us, right? He subbed Tim Henderson for me and for us at one point in the Final Four game. Not many coaches are making that substitution in the Final Four game. And being down, right? And Tim came in there, hit two big threes, and we knew Tim could shoot. Tim was one of the toughest guys that I played against in practice. He went against Russ and I every day in practice, and we felt like we made him better, but he made us better, right? Pushing us every day, being physical, being like strong guard, bigger guard, had like a line drive shot, but it went in. And, he was ready for his moment, and I was, the whole city was very thankful that he made those shots when he did, because it really saved us and put us within 6 points, and we were able to mount a comeback. Because being down in Wichita like that, if you're down 10, it felt like 20, just because of the pace they played at. their pack line defense of just packing the paint, and we weren't really that great of a shooting team that year, but it really helped us out.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing that you saw it a lot through like the St. John's documentary and through Coach P's books a lot. He would ask what people would do for a living, and you'd ask them if they're reading any books. Like we've seen a lot of coaches that have gotten to his age and just over the last 10 years of their career, they just for some reason hadn't been able to keep up their legendary status. What have you seen with Coach P that has just separated him from everybody else to where every place he goes, he's going to win no matter what?
I think for Coach Pitino, what he does really well is he sets the standards for his guys. He builds a really good culture, and he's always yearning to grow and to learn. Right? I, you know, if you talk to Coach P, he'll tell you each stage of his career, he wanted to grow and learn. Right? When he was at Kentucky, he felt like he knew it all, and humility played a big role when he went to the NBA and then went back to college. He started, adjusting his philosophies, adjusting to the way he pays attention to the game, learning, from his assistant coaches, things of that nature. And he's always evolving. And I think that's a great thing, a sign for him. You have to adjust with the times, and he's doing a great job at that. And that's what makes him a legendary coach, man. He's one of those guys that when he speaks, you listen to. He's an amazing motivational speaker, and he's just a all-around savant when it comes to basketball. And he's been around the game so long. He's seen every scenario, every type of player. Really, nothing surprises him anymore to where he's shocked. So with his experience, I think that's what makes him so great. And I think he's just not where he once was stubborn in a sense. He's able to kind of free himself from that, and he's shown a lot of humility through the years, just adjusting with the times and understanding. And college basketball has become similar to pro basketball, and he's been in both, so it's the best of both worlds for him, and he knows how to adjust to it. And that's one of the things that he's really great at, is adjusting in the in game, and he's doing it in the sidelines and in recruiting. So I'm always a big fan of Coach P. I think he's one of the best coaches of all time, and it's always good to see him have success.
That'll wrap everything up. What's next for you, Peyton? You got anything planned? You going to lace him up this summer for TBT, or you think you're going to step onto the coaching side this time and stick what you're
I
doing
don't know,
now?
man. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Next for me, man, is just continue to work on trying to evaluate these guys in the portal and try to build a roster and help our staff as much as I can build a roster for next year, so we can continue to build on the success we had this year.
For sure.
Awesome. All right. Well, we appreciate it. Thank you for your time. You
Thank you,
definitely
Peyton.
didn't have to do this at all, but we can't tell you how much we appreciate it. Terence, you got anything before we leave?
Man, thank you, Peyton, and I'll be seeing you soon, man. And thank you. Like I said, yeah, thank you for your time, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys. Thank you all.
All right, for sure.